afternoon, and welcome to the conversation with Al McFarlane's Book Chat Thursday. I am W.D. Foster Graham. I'm the book review editor for Inside News, and I will be your host today for this Book Chat Thursday edition. The conversation with Al McFarlane provides stimulating, robust, inspiring, and informative conversation from the African and African American diaspora in all its diversity. We are currently on our way to 2,000 subscribers. So if you enjoy our content, please like, share, subscribe, share with your network. Uh, Since this is Black History Month, we do have an event coming up here in Twin Cities on Saturday, February 22nd, 2025. St. Peter's AME Church will be hosting a second We Are Wordsmiths literary community event. Now, this event is free and open to the public, and the hours it'll run will be 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. St. Peter's AME is located at 401 East 41st Street, Minneapolis, Minnesota, 55409. So come on out, meet and engage with our authors, support their work, buy their books. And we'll also be including jewelry by D. Michelle, and we'll have artwork by Vaughn Larry. So come on, check out, and have a literary feast. Now, since it is Black History Month, that wouldn't be complete without those of us who stand at the intersectionality of Black and LGBT, with our persons in our history, such as James Baldwin, Langston Hughes, Bayard Rustin, Elaine Locke, Barbara Jordan, Audre Lorde, and Lorraine Hansberry, just to name a few. So today is going to be my pleasure to introduce our guest authors of the coffee table book called EBANMAN, Dossier of Black Gay Men. Tom Logan, who is a dynamic individual committed to fostering connection and empowerment within the Black gay community. Now, with over 20 years of extensive corporate experience, ranging from account management to leadership roles, he has embarked on a transformative journey into entrepreneurship driven by a profound dedication to addressing the unmet needs of the Black LGBTQ community. And Perez Harrison Pratt, who is one of the authors of the book, is going to be joining us from South Africa. So that to be said, I want to welcome Tom and Perez to the conversation with Al McFarlane.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Oh, it is a pleasure. Definitely a pleasure. So we'll start. Perez, tell us something about growing up. Hey, the persons who were your mentors, who inspired you on your journey?
Oh, that's a very good question. Okay, so growing up, I would say my mom inspired me. She is a strong woman. She is very independent and she's very strict as well, God-fearing. So she inspired me. Growing up, I would say I was a very curious child. I was very vocal, straightforward. I've always been straightforward as a child, and very adventurous as well. So, yeah, that's a bit about growing up. Unless you want us to go deeper, then we can go for it.
Oh, and so who were some of your mentors on your journey? You talked about your mom. But who would they be?
Okay, so I would mention a friend in South Africa. He's called Percival. He was a mentor as well. He was part of my journey. And then also, I would mention Leon. May he so rest in peace. He was also a mentor. Um, Tom is also a mentor as well. Tom Logan on the screen. Yes, he's a friend and a mentor. Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I do have a few mentors. The list goes on. Even my current boss from work is also a mentor. So I do have a few people that I call friends at the same, your mentors can become your friends as well.
Indeed,
So yeah, I call them friends and mentors.
indeed, indeed. Thank you, Tom.
Yes.
Okay, so no, same question. Tell us.
Um, Go ahead.
Oh yeah, tell us. How did you grow? How you grew up. Who were your mentors? Who were the people that inspired you?
I would say on my end, it was my mom and my dad. My mom, kind of like Perez said, very strong, very outspoken. So I have that duality of being strong and very outspoken when need to be. But my dad on the other side was um, very kind of easygoing, very soft spoken, wanting to make sure that everybody was happy and enjoying themselves in the room. He just had that sense of tranquility to him. So again, having that duality is kind of what I picked up. Very rambunctious as a child, a lot more outspoken, a lot really spoiled, spoiled in a good way, but yeah, definitely spoiled. Growing up, it was that kind of, I don't want to say almost like Bill Cosby type of family, but it was in a sense of we grew up in a certain community that everyone knew each other, everyone got along, and it really was that great time to be be a child. Let's just put it like that, to be a child. Mentors along the way, definitely more so my dad as I got older, showing me the ropes and giving me the narratives and the navigational tools that I needed to work through corporate America. Always look a man in the eye, always provide a firm handshake, make sure you wear a suit and tie, make sure you show up on time. So all of those components are very instrumental. And then getting in corporate America, it was just kind of identifying individuals here and individuals there, but no one that kind of really stands out.
Thank you, thank you.
Mhm.
That being said, as we're looking at how we grew up, Tom, that's you. You just described the way I grew up.
Yeah.
The community, the
Yes.
community here in Minneapolis seemed like everybody either knew each other or knew of each other because our
Yes.
community was a lot smaller. But then
Hmm.
you didn't have one set of parents; you had 20.
Yes.
That's the thing. So
Yeah.
Wow.
which brings me to my next question now. Who were your role models as black gay men?
Great question.
Mm.
I can start.
Well, I can say, oh, sorry, do you want to go? Tom, you
You
go
know, I
first.
pros.
Well, most of the names I mentioned are black gay men. Tom is a black gay man. Uh, Dr. Maurice Brownlee is also a black gay man. Yeah, in terms of maybe historically, oh, that will be a little bit challenging. I know there are so many, but I do have a lot of respect for, um, oh my God, what's his name? Simon Incolli.
Mhm.
Simon Incolli was the person that fought for gay rights and HIV rights in South Africa. Yeah, I think I do have a lot of respect for him.
Thank you, Tom.
For me, role models, kind of like what Perez said. So, and again, age range, and there were not that many role models, especially when transitioning from community to corporate America. I was barely African American men that I could identify, let alone that were black and gay. I think for me, a lot of it was seeing in the community a lot of the older um, individuals that were in the community at the time of myself growing up. They kind of set the tone. They made sure that it was almost like taking etiquette lessons, if that makes sense, of how to carry yourself, how to dress well, how to show up at an event, how to have a certain decorum around other individuals. So I kind of miss that environment because a lot of times now I think it has changed where it's a little, it's become a little bit more laxed, and even our approach and our binding as a community has changed as well. So growing up, I think the role models for me in terms of Black and gay were the older men in the community at the time.
Yeah.
Just
But
to, if you don't mind me adding, this is very important because it shows the generational difference between Tom and myself.
Yes.
Because for my generation, I personally find people like your Toms. There is a gentleman in the UK called Dennis. I do find them as role models because they fought for us. They were out there advocating for gay rights, and then we benefited from all of that. Compared to Tom's generation was totally different. Like you can't be out, you can't do stuff. So I just want to chip this in quickly that the generation plays a huge role in terms of this question. So someone like Tom might probably see a person like Martin Luther King. But for me, I do respect Martin Luther King, but my generation, I personally prefer, I believe that as time goes on, leaders change. There are different leaders that comes as time goes on. So you need to also pay respect to generational changes in terms of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just wanted to just chip that in.
Right.
thank you for sharing that because hey, I'm a baby boomer. Yeah, I mean, when I came out back in 1970, that was at the intersection of all the social movements for change here in the
Mm-hmm.
U.S. because you had uh, Wounded Knee, Vietnam, civil rights, women's rights, and LGBT rights were all happening at the same time. And so you've been looking for role models. When I was 18, I didn't know. I was thinking, okay, well, where are they? Where
Yes.
are the Black gay men? Because I'm seeing Caucasians, but not us. And I know that we were there. Of course, later on in college, you learn about Bayard Rustin, for example,
Right.
and movements for social change. I
Mm-hmm.
learned about James Baldwin, but
Yes.
yeah, but
Right.
I get where you're coming from, Perez, when you talk about we're at these different generations. Because I know for me, funny thing happened. I know I became the role model that that I wished I had when I was
Mm-hmm.
18.
Yes.
Now, excuse me. Um, so I want to ask here, can you share what inspired you on the journey to create this book, this coffee table book, EBANMAN, and some information about the brand?
Sure. I'll start. So again, going back to, it's a great segue into this question. The things that we just picked and pinpointed was that sense of the Black gay man being invisible. And essentially that's what started me first on the journey of creating EBANMAN as a brand. It was to be able to showcase and promote Black gay men from a different perspective, one being visible, and two from a positive spotlight. We wanted to curate a community or a brand where any individual that was part of the community, any walk of life, felt comfortable to be seen, heard, and appreciated in it. And so, starting off with EBANMAN, essentially it was let me host some events. Let me curate some experiences that I wanted to create outside of the typical club or small gatherings that we have. Sometime I just wanted to elevate that experience. It went from there to turning it into making sure it's being showcased on social media. From there, making sure it is creating its own platform, which is our ebanman.com platform, where we not only showcase professionals within the community, but we also talk about lifestyle concerns as well, which again is great for us because a lot of times when you see information about Black gay men, it's always the status, like we're statistics about health data, but we also have a life. We love to travel. We love good food. We love to experience life just like everyone else. We put our pants leg on one leg at a time. And so that's what we wanted to showcase as well. about a year and a half, maybe almost 2, 3 years ago now, I want to say, Perez and I came up with the concept of we're creating all these great articles, or actually Perez is creating all these great articles and profiling all these beautiful Black gay men that have their own experiences. They're showing up on our platforms, but they kind of just fade away. And we wanted to make sure that let's curate something that's more tangible, that is more accessible to people in their homes, more accessible people from an educational, from a history, from creating our own mini icons of stories. Let's create a coffee table book. And so that's how that journey on creating the coffee table book came. And it's been a great journey. Yes.
Okay, Perez, would you like to add to that?
Yes. So in 2018, I accepted myself. Um, I've never had to like come out officially because I've always been like this from childhood and all of that. I was just told that it's wrong and you're going to hell. So I never liked myself. It has always been an internal struggle. And then in 2018, I accepted myself. So when I accepted myself, I decided, okay, is there anybody I can speak to from a professional point of view that is Black and gay? And I looked around, reached out to a few organizations in the UK, because the UK was the first thing that I thought of. Like that was what came into my mind. Ghana was colonized by the British, so that
Ah,
was what came into my mind, and I couldn't really get any answers. And then the one time I was online, I saw a very nice quote, and I'm like, this is quite interesting. This is a nice quote. And as curious as I am, and still I've always been curious, I decided to look at the profile, dig into it. I was like, I was doing my bachelor's at the time. I was like, hell no, I want to know more about this brand. This is a beautiful brand. They've got a nice website and there is an app. Okay, let me reach out to the CEO. And then I reached out to Tom, and Tom introduced me to the team. And the rest is history. Here we are today. Yeah,
and glad that you are. Most
yes.
definitely glad that you are.
I am
So,
glad that I joined because I've learned so much about the community. I've
mm,
met so many people, and yeah, it's been such a great. EBANMAN was such an experience, and I'm always EBAN is like family. I'm always going to
Right.
be part of EBAN, right? Yeah.
most appreciated. So, what did what have the two of you learned as a result of this journey? Since we're not, since I'm going to get to another question later, but what have you learned through your journey?
Wow,
Um,
this is the okay. You go first, Tom.
I think for me, and I always reference this when I'm learning individuals from a trying to get to understand them. And I always tell people this, like always find out the backstory first. And I think with finding out the backstory of other individual journeys, it helped me kind of cultivate and understand myself as well. Because in some aspects, again, we're all Black gay men, but there's still that same core, that same underlining thread of the highs and the lows, the negatives and the positives, the likes and dislikes, and everything that the community inside and outside can bring into you, that you understand that you are just like the other individual. And just seeing that positivity and seeing that you're not the only one walking this journey is huge, because you just, in some aspects, we do have those times of feeling lonely, or, we're looking around and where's everybody else at? Technically, they're right next to you, or they're right in front of you, or they're right behind you. You just have to be willing to open yourself up to see them.
Thank you, Perez.
My journey, I think personally, from a community perspective, I have grown my net, like I grew my network because of the interviews I was doing. I met different people across the globe, hearing different stories, and that encouraged me a lot. It gave me, I got great out of people's stories, different stories, and also empathy
Mm.
was the other thing that I learned out of the whole process. You realize that in as much as we are fighting for our rights, there are people that are also out there that want to know or learn more about us. Because I came across allies who literally, they actually know better than I do about my own community. And that was quite interesting. So I decided that sometimes I need to hear from both sides as well. I need to empathize with allies, try to find out how they understand from our perspective, or how should we understand from their perspective. So I think for me, it's always about empathy, yeah, or
Okay.
putting yourself in someone else's shoes.
Mhm.
Empathy is different from sympathy. Putting yourself in someone else's shoes. How would I respond as a straight person? Because the moment you do that, you are able to explain properly, because you can't really understand someone if you don't know where they are coming from. It's like Tom said, you need to know the backstory, and people have different experiences. So throughout my journey and interviewing people from our community and allies, because I did interview allies as well, I learned a lot. And empathy and great resilience, I would say these are the three main things that I learned from my entire journey: empathy, grit, and resilience.
Yeah, I would piggyback
Indeed.
on the resilience. Yes.
Indeed, indeed. So, well, you touched into my next question. Why was the topic of allies important? But further, what do you hope the takeaway is for our readers?
Um, Definitely piggybacking off what Perez said, and even in designing the book, curating the book, I wanted to make sure that even if you were an ally and you picked up this coffee table book, that you could appreciate it for what it was. I didn't want something that was so jarring or so kind of, for like better word, offensive, or sometimes the stereotypical what you would see showcasing the community. Sometimes I wanted something that anyone inside and outside of the community would be comfortable with showcasing that on their coffee table book in their home, or giving it as a gift, really feeling warm about it. The best feedback I've gotten so far was, I was at a book um, event, and there was a few that people that were outside the community that would come and they would flip through the book. They would come back and flip through the book again, and then they would ask me like, "Is this for Black gay men?" And I was like, "Yes, it is." And they were just like, "Wow, this is absolutely beautiful." One young lady, she worked as a teacher here in Chicago, and she said, "I would love to see if the Chicago public school system would figure out some kind of way to incorporate this." She said, "We have children that are growing up through the system that don't really have that type of identity or reference point to look through." And she said, "This is beautiful. I would definitely love to stay in contact with you." So those type of feedbacks was exactly the way we were trying to showcase the book.
Um, I can say this: one of the things I loved about it was then the humanity. It's
Thank
showing,
you.
hey, we are living our lives. This
Yes.
is and
Absolutely.
this is who we are. So
Yes.
Mm.
in so my next question would be, um, in terms of the book itself, because we see that the representative of so many diverse uh, facets of our Black LGBTQ existence. What ways do you see where your book is speaking truth to power?
Wow, this is a good question. So most of the men, if you scroll through the book, these are people who are sitting on senior roles in corporate. Most of them. They've been out there all these years, but they are not like out. When I say okay, they were they were living, but they were not really existing.
Mm,
And this book gave them the opportunity to express themselves in different ways. And I mean, imagine a CEO of a company introducing himself and sharing his story. That speaks to power. That also encourages a young person or someone that is looking for a mentor to say that if a black gay man can do this, and I'm a black gay man, I can do this too. So, in terms of that perspective, the people that I came across during the interview were people who sit in senior roles. I don't know if I'm answering your question correctly,
you
but in
are.
terms of power, those were men, black gay men, in corporate, I'm talking about banking, in entertainment, I mean, entrepreneurs, different uh, um, healthcare. I mean, I think it's amazing if you really read the book carefully. There are people from different backgrounds. So yeah, I think this is this is great, and that's what it is in terms of power. So yeah.
Thank you. Tom, what would you like to add to that?
Again, I'm always picking back on Perez, right?
Hey,
We
hey,
work so well together. But
hey.
no, just to coincide with what he was saying, in finding the truth, that's the one thing I can definitely say, and humbly thank every single profile was the authenticity that they brought to the conversation. And that's what I love. That's what we wanted to showcase. And even back to Perez's point, we wanted to create a platform, a ideal, comfortable situation where a certain type of individual felt comfortable showcasing themselves, because there were some times when someone would say, well, I'm not too familiar with your brand, what does this book look like, because they want to make sure they're maintaining their brand and how they carry themselves on a daily basis. So we did not want to have something that was not on par with each individual that we showcased. And so that was one of the great things as well. And again, the individuals that have seen the book, that are profiled in the book, have loved it.
Amen, amen, amen. um, Now, in the book, another thing that I liked and I enjoyed when I was reading it was that because they took the perspectives not only from being black and gay in the U.S., but in the islands and the continent and and the UK. So you
Yes.
have the multiple perspectives on that. So Perez, I want to ask you a question. If you can give me the and to our viewers, you know, the perspective so far as as an African born as the perspective. And I know that because because we talked about this earlier about the fact that you see like people thought at Africa is monolithically homophobic, and we know that's not the whole truth.
So growing up, I'm going to use my story because I'm
Yes.
an African, a proud one from Ghana.
Hmm.
Um, there's being gay has always, it has never been like a stage where you want to kill someone or criminalize someone until after COVID or during COVID. This all came up in terms of Ghana wanting to criminalize same sex. But I had an uncle from my mother's side who was gay, and we were all friendly. In my situation, I couldn't because of religion, and we all know who brought religion to Africa.
Yes.
That they said it is wrong, you're going to hell.
Mm,
They changed the way we do things as Africans, the way we worship, the way we dress. It's like everything that we did was wrong, most
mm.
of the things we did. So they changed a lot of things in order for them to get what they want from us as Africans, which everyone knows, our minerals. Yeah. So
Yes.
currently, I would say that it is challenging, still challenging in certain parts of Africa. I think the southern part of Africa is getting better. South Africa, Angola, Botswana, it's getting better, but the east, west, um, northern side of Africa, it's still challenging. And up to last year, no, early this year, there was a bill in parliament that seemed to criminalize same-sex relationship. But
Mm.
you know what? The previous president was so smart. He did not sign the bill. The new president that came on now, he decided the bill as it's a new regime, it's a new government. I'm not gonna talk about that bill anymore. Let's move forward to a new Ghana. So I think that is a good thing. I hope that Ghana will change, and not just Ghana, but Nigeria. Nigeria criminalized it years back, and it affected the economy. It affected them in so many ways. And as we speak, there are lots of Nigerians that are gays. They don't even care anymore.
Hmm.
And so my prayer is that people get educated. Colonization really did harm to Africa. And the worst part of it is people don't want to learn. People are okay, especially religion.
Mm.
They stick to what they know. And that is it. That is the problem because when you make up your mind that what you know is what you know, then that is a problem. But yeah, that is what I'm trusting the universe for. That I think the only way is a generation will be wiped away and a new generation will take over. That's what's going to bring the change to Africa.
Indeed. As we talk about, when we change the narrative, we change the
Yes.
perception. And
Yes.
I
Right,
guess, and that power is within us.
Yes.
right.
So now,
Yes.
in the book, you touch in Representation Matters was a book, Tom,
Yes.
and you're touching on topics such as leaving a legacy, Black gay love, seat at the table, and my brother's keepers. And my question would be, why was it important for you to touch on these various topics? And how do you feel there needs to be more LGBTQ representation?
Um, Starting off with the book, it was this creation of again a visibility platform, a seen into the lives that sometimes are not seen because of mass media or just not enough opportunities out there to be showcased. And in doing that, we wanted to make sure that we encompassed all of those kind of parts of our lives as individuals working in corporate America, individuals, as we kind of had the conversation earlier, Black gay love, being a fatherhood. How many times have you seen the Black gay man in fatherhood and being able to take care and raise a family, just like your, as they say, heteronormal individuals? So we wanted to make sure we showcased all of that, leaving a legacy, as we just talked about, wishing that I had those individuals when I was growing up. What difference or what impact would that have provided to myself as well as Perez in South Africa? Um, Seat at the table. Right now, I think that is the most crucial part and
Mm,
integral part of the book is the seat at the table because we are getting whitewashed out of not only the U.S. table, but from
Mm.
around the world.
Whoa,
yes,
yeah.
The
even in
current,
South Africa.
yeah, exactly. The current slave
Hey.
is trying to whitewash the world, and
Mm-hmm.
I think there was just a recent one where they are, of course, no longer. We already know doing DEI. People say that DEI is black, it's brown, it's all of those narratives. Yes, it is. And the reason
Mm-hmm.
why I say yes, it is because it is important to have that. It is important for every single identity, ethnicity, sexuality, sexual orientation, humanity to be seen. And that's why we felt like every single part of that book was very imperative to showcase.
That is so true. And I
And I just
recently,
add
go ahead, go ahead.
the last one, my brother's keeper.
Yes.
It's big, like it's important more than ever. Now is the time when we need each other as a
Yeah.
community more than ever. My brother's keeper, you are your brother's keeper,
Yeah.
especially in these times. I know we wrote that it has always been the case, anyways. In as much as it can get a little bit, I don't want to use the word toxic, but every family you do have a misunderstanding. So
Hmm.
as a community, we do have a misunderstanding too, but it does not mean that we don't love each other as a
Hmm.
community. We still stand for each other because the fact that they're going after trans people does not mean because I'm a gay man, it's not me. No, after they come after the trans
That's
people, they're
right.
coming for me too. I
Yes.
Exactly.
need to be their keeper.
Hmm.
That is very important, especially now more than ever.
Yes.
That is so true. I mean, it's about all of us.
Yes.
Because
Right.
in talking about seat at the table, I was just recently reviewed a book about Shirley Chisholm,
Mm.
and she was Shirley Chisholm, of course, was the first black woman to run for U.S.
Yes.
president back in the 1970s. But one of her quotes was, "If they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair."
Yes.
Right.
And that quote is actually in the book.
Hey,
Yeah, it's in
hey,
the book.
there you go, there you go.
Yes. Yes. It's in the
Hey,
book.
definitely on the same page. So
Yes.
speaking of the book, now I mentioned earlier that I would love to have our viewers hear an excerpt from the book. So whichever one you has it there, could you share?
Ooh. Um,
Sorry, I didn't get the question. Come again.
If you could share an excerpt from the book.
ooh.
Ooh,
I think I would really do one of the quotes. If you,
Okay.
I do have the book available if you want me to pull out
do
one.
can I
I
also
think
pull out my if you don't
Hey.
mind?
so I'll do two things. One, I will give my favorite quote, which is the one that we included in the beginning, was be the
Mhm.
reason someone feels welcome, seen, heard, and loved. And that was the whole imperative around the book, was to make sure that every single individual felt that way inside the book as well as outside of the book.
Mhm.
One of my favorite stories out of the book was a gentleman who is based in Atlanta, firefighter, and I apologize right now, I can't remember the individual's name, but I loved his authentic conversation that he had about his experience with his dad and how he came out with his father, how they went through some challenges, but of course, father came around and the bond was even tighter. Going again from being a firefighter to just everything he did in his life was so true and so authentic that um, it just again inspired me in terms of resilience. You can do anything and everything that you want as long as you are true and authentic to yourself, because that's the only thing that people cannot take away from you. They cannot take away, and a lot of times they're going to respect you more for that. They are.
There you go. There you go.
Yes. I like what you said. There is a quote. I think this is from EBAN, by the way. We do have our own.
Hey,
So
good. Go
it
ahead.
says, embrace the brilliance of your authentic self, for in your passions, you will uncover the roadmap to your purpose. It's in the harmony of these two that your trust life story unfolds.
Hmm.
So, authentic self and your passion. When I think life became better for me when I became my authentic self. When I was a different person, I struggled a lot, not only internally, but mentally, physically, a lot of in different areas. So the more you become your authentic self, the more you find your purpose. This too, you will never go wrong with this
Yeah.
too. purpose and authenticity.
Yeah.
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 In true.
I love that.
So, same here, same here. Now, so as you take a look at your day lives, you know, because you have created something amazing here
Thank you.
with this book. Uh, what ways do you see that you change the narrative? Hey, because
Okay.
because when we run across people, there's a no, there's always someone else that's new that we meet. But in what ways do we change the narrative?
First of all, it's okay to be proud of your work. So, Tom, let's be proud of what we've done. There is
Yeah.
no single coffee table book
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
on this world for Black gay men, except for EBANMAN. There is only one. So this is us changing the narrative in the writing world or in the comic world or whatever you want to call it. But we are the first organization to create a Black gay coffee table book. Although we've got a backlash from a few organizations and communities, should I use, no, not communities, actually organizations. We are still proud of what we've been able to come up with. It has never been easy. It took almost like 2 years, a year and a half or two
Yes.
years, Tom,
Yes.
yes, for us to come up with it. So this is your Tom Ford coffee table book for Black gay men. This is
Yay!
us changing the narrative. Yes. So to answer your question, this is us changing the narrative. It's the only book for Black gay men. Thank you.
Yes, 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 yes.
I love it with the two snaps in a circle.
Yes.
But yes, to again piggyback always on Perez, changing the narrative again is just that, that visibility component, that component where again, if you are, there's a gentleman that was on TikTok, and he was an interior designer, and he said, I get so sick and tired of going into homes where everybody has the same cookie cutter Tom Ford coffee table books or the same cookie cutter books being showcased. It doesn't represent who you are. It doesn't represent your life. And so being able to showcase an EBANMAN coffee table book on your table is huge.
Yeah.
Again, in these times where, again, we're being whitewashed, it's something cool to be able to flip through and see yourself and be able to identify with everyone with the same walk of life. So, yes. Yep.
I mean, if you come to my house and you don't know that I'm gay, I can just give you the coffee table book. And then that announces it all.
Indeed, indeed. Now, there is a quote. There are two quotes that have inspired me as an author, and I just like to have your take on these quotes. I think one of them is by Aretha Franklin, and is oh yes, the Queen, Aretha, and her quote is, "Be your own artist and always be confident in what you're doing." And the other quote is from Toni Morrison. If there is a story you wish to read and it hasn't been written yet, then you must be the one to write it. Care to
Yeah.
share?
I will
Wow.
do
Okay.
I'll do the Toni Morrison, and it definitely has been that scenario for the book and the journey of the book. Was looking around when we first started the journey, seeing what else was out there. Again, there are some that are in the past, but we wanted to pay homage to the current, but also elevate it, provide again that kind of experience of where anyone, any walk of life, inside and outside of the community, could appreciate it. Along with that, the book has been the pillar and is the pillar for the next series. So the series is Dossier of Black Gay Men, all aspects from the love, from My Brother's Keeper to all those experiences as we continue on with this collection and broadening each aspect of the book to make it a larger collection. So there's a total of about 10 books in the series that we'll be coming out with.
Oh, and when will that be?
Honestly, very huge undertaking, but each year a new book is supposed to be released.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Perez. About
Okay. Yes, please go again, Aretha.
be your own artist and always be confident in what you're doing.
That's a good one for you.
Oh, this is a very good one, Yes. You have to be confident in what you do. If you don't support your own stuff, nobody is going to do that for you. Or it's the way you sell. It's like yourself. It's typically loving yourself and loving what you do. If you don't appreciate what you do, nobody is going to do that for you. There are so many people out there that have different perspectives, different objections about how you should do stuff or how you should write or how you should act as an artist, but you know yourself more than anyone else. I love what Viola Davis says in an interview. She said, "You are the love of your life."
Yes.
Yes.
You must love what you do. If you're a writer, you're an artist, it's okay to get credit from people, but if you don't appreciate your own work, nobody's going to do that for you. So yes, Sister Rita loved her voice and her music. That is why she said what she said. So yeah, to add to what you just said, it's all about love, loving what you do, loving yourself, and yeah, moving on. That's it.
Hey, there you go. There you go. Yeah. As we were talking earlier, I think two of the topics that came up was one, Black gay love, and also fatherhood. Well, okay, my husband and I have been married for 14 years, and
Wow.
we have a 24-year-old
Wow.
son.
Wow.
Wow.
So, could you give us some more backstory about the persons that you interviewed for those particular topics?
Wow. Okay, I'll go for this. Okay,
Yes.
so I interviewed two couples that have a son. I don't quite remember. I remember Denzel. Denzel is based in Ohio. He and his husband, I've forgotten how long they've been married for. They have a beautiful girl. And, it was all about representation. We wanted everything from different aspects. And remember, there is a misconception about being gay and having a child. I know it's changing, but back in the day, it was never the same. The moment, I think most parents, especially in Africa, the fear is I can't have a grandchild. I'm not going to have a grandson or a granddaughter, and that becomes a challenge. Even now, I think it's still there. Some families, it's still the problem. They're not even concerned about so much about you being gay, but that is the challenge. And so we wanted to bring something in that will change perspective, that gay men can have children, they can make babies. There are so many different ways. You can do surrogacy, get a surrogate mom. You can, there's so many, whether you want to speak to someone, you can adopt. So it's basically changing the narrative of what family, talking about family, the bill, Ghana bill, was having proper family values. That's what they called the bill, which I think it's insane, because there are so many straight people who are not taking care of their children. They are irresponsible fathers out there, and we have to clean up the mess. We the gay men end up adopting those children. We become those uncle. I'm going to my gay uncle. They come to us and we give them what their fathers could not do or what their
Mm.
fathers did not do. We do all of that. So I think we brought this whole family thing of a couple with a child just to change the narrative. Again, representation matters. So we wanted to have a broader perspective from single, from I think you get more of it in the next book, the love Black Gay Love book that's coming out that has a lot more to say about family.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that book. Hey, looking forward to it. Now, I have a question, and I ask this question to all my authors. Oh, before I do that, let's give a shout out to Philistine
Yes.
for his
Thanks,
role
Bill.
in creating this book. I say, Philip, if you're watching, hey, we see
Thank you.
you.
Yes.
Good. So my question to you is this. What advice would you give to your 13-year-old self from where you are today?
Mm.
Tom, do you want to go or you want me to go?
Um, so for my 13-year-old self, um, I think for my 13-year-old self, I would say maintain that joy that you had, that black boy joy. A lot of that, again, working in corporate America, being of a certain age, living in a certain community, um, a lot of it becomes not taken away, but changed, reformed, because you can't sometimes be that black boy joy all the time, because in some circles they don't want to see you happy. You have to keep
Mm,
that black boy joy internally. You know, that's when when that black boy joy is around, the haters are right around with it as well. So
Mm,
um, I think that that black boy joy kind of keep that essence internally. Yeah.
thank you, Tom, for sharing.
for
Perez?
me, I would say to little 13-year-old Perez, um, be authentic and say no. That's what I would say because I remember growing up, we were so endorsed into Christianity. You cannot say no. You hate yourself. You
Mm,
have to live in a particular way, live in a certain way that is not you, it's not yourself. You pleasing society, pleasing your parents, that has always been the culture, anyways. And so, what I would say to a 13-year-old Perez is be authentic and say no. Yeah.
indeed, indeed. So that brings me to another question which we, as part of being Black LGBT men, come across. As a community, what ways do you see we can address toxic masculinity?
Mm.
Oh, I love this question.
Um,
Toxic masculinity. Tom, do you want to go? Or
so I'd say it's very imperative right now with the letter T being removed uh, from all government websites, uh, being wiped from existence, kind of piggybacking from what Perez said earlier, having that my brother's keeper mentality of we're all in the same boat. Even though each letter may stand for something different, it's still part of the same community. And it starts with the T, it becomes the B, it becomes the G, it becomes the L, where it entire community is just wiped clean slate. And so I think that's where the toxic masculinity lies, is understanding that you're no different than the other individuals. Your toxic masculinity may save you for today, but tomorrow, someone can take that away from you, regardless of who you are, who you think you are. There's always a certain power that can remove that from you. So I think with the toxic masculinity, we all need to learn that um, sometimes humility, sometimes humanity, sometimes being humble. It's more important. It's more imperative. And to me, those attributes have taken me a lot further than, for like, being a jerk or um, being disrespectful to someone uh, or trying to get back at someone. Like it's time out for that. There's enough of that outside of the Black community, let alone the Black LGBTQ community. It's time out for that. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
I think what I would say in order to curb toxic masculinity is it's okay not to be okay as a man. I think we need to start from there because, especially in our community as Blacks, I'm going to use us. You are taught to live a certain way, do things a certain way as a man. You have to look a certain way in society. Uh, but it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's about vulnerability. Be vulnerable. Um, Again, like Tom said, your brother's keeper. I think we also need to address when you see toxic masculinity, it's about speaking out and addressing it and educating people. Open mindedness is also important in this process. So, if open mindedness is being more vulnerable, and then it's okay also not to be okay. So, that's where it starts. And mental health plays a big role in all of that because you find out that most of these toxic men, the challenge is mental health. It's not accepting self. It's not being able to be vulnerable. A man can cry. A man can show emotions. No, it's okay not to be okay. So I think if we start teaching that and addressing certain societal toxicity or toxic masculinity, like you see a man cry and you go make a fuss about it. No, addressing things like that will really help. It will reduce toxic masculinity.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you. And thank you for sharing. So now, question: where can our viewers and readers get this book?
Oh, all right. So you can go to our website, which is ebanman.com. And that, as you can see, is EBANMAN.com. And also, quick thing. So, EBANMAN, the origin of the name is from EBAN. EBAN is an indicative word that means community, safety, love, and a sense of security in a fence like you would find in a home. And so essentially, EBANMAN means a home or a safe space for Black gay men.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Tom Perez, I want to thank you for
Oh, thank
creating
you.
this. Yes, the book. It's
Thank you.
the positive role models, the humanity, the authenticity. Is a powerful statement, and
Thank you.
I appreciate you for sharing this with us today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, this is W.D. Foster Graham from The Conversation with Al McFarlane. It's Book Chat Thursday, and we will see you on the next go round.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.